Fort Fisher was built in 1861 to help ward off Union forces from the port city of Wilmington, North Carolina, which it did for almost the duration of the Civil War under the command of General William Whiting. Fort Fisher started out humbly with a little over 20 gun placements. In the summer of 1862, Colonel William Lamb expanded the fort, and by 1864 it was a formidable opponent to any Union force, with over a mile of sea defenses as well as guns protecting the city itself. As strong as it seemed, however, nothing lasts forever, and in December 1864 the Union was closing in on Fort Fisher. The first attack started with a Trojan horse of sorts, as the Union disguised one of its own ships, the Louisiana, as a blockade runner loaded with over 200 pounds of gunpowder. It got close and exploded but did little damage. The next day, the Union bombarded Fort Fisher from sea, and again little damage was taken. And finally, on Christmas Day, 1864, an infantry attack was launched, but again it failed, and the Union attackers were repelled. On January 12, 1865, another attack was launched, and this time it was by land and by sea. General Whiting was replaced as the fort commander by General Bragg. Bragg, however, was making plans to leave Wilmington and refused to send reinforcements to a fort he already counted as lost. Angered by this, Whiting rejoined Colonel Lamb in the fort for the attack. After a bitter pounding from the sea, a land assault came the next day with around 6,000 men up against the 1,900 Confederate soldiers. The smaller Union force of 2,000 coming from the northeast was repelled, but the larger force of 4,000 attacking from the northwest made it over the wall. Whiting and Lamb were both mortally wounded during the battle and died in Union prison camps. All told, there were 2,200 casualties during the assault. The haunting at Fort Fisher is claimed to have started just 3 years later during a reunion held at the fort. 3 Confederate veterans were said to be walking around the earthworks and saw a figure of a man wearing an officer's uniform. He then raised his sword as if calling them to follow. As the men got closer, they recognized him as General Whiting, and as they started to realize what was happening, the apparition disappeared. Other paranormal activity has also been reported. An apparition has been seen in the Pine Grove woods to the north of the fort, who some think is a Confederate sentinel still standing guard. Ghostly footsteps have been heard on the wooden walkways, and the locked doors at the visitor center have been slammed open and shut on a number of occasions with no explanation. One Civil War reenactor heard a horse's hooves stamping the ground near to him one night, and just thought it was another reenactor, until he later discovered that no one had brought any horses with them to the reenactment. Sounds of gunshots and cannons can often be heard in the night over the battlefield. The ghost, believed to be that of General Whiting, has been reported on several occasions standing out on the parapet at dusk. During our investigation of the fort, while doing an EVP session at the location many have claimed to have seen Whiting, a large orb was photographed in front of me, sometimes making me wonder, was the old general somehow trying to answer my questions? Today you can visit Fort Fisher State Park and explore the grounds that made such a lasting mark on American history. Who knows, maybe you will run into the old guard or the general himself in one of the most haunted places in America.